Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the channel. So we're doing another little project. Ended up replacing the power steering pump over a year ago, and I bought a cheap one off Amazon. Don't get me wrong, Amazon's awesome. Just make sure you choose a high quality part. But my power steering on the Buick Enclave went out, so I ended up getting a better power steering pump. And then this one doesn't come with a pulley, so rented this guy. So I mean, if you go to AutoZone, that's the part number for the pulley puller. Just rent that. It was 35 bucks. You'll get it back. The power steering pump itself is about 160. The one I have in here right now costs about 70 bucks. So if you're gonna do this, just get a high quality part the first time. Don't go cheap. And from my point, when I replaced it the first time, I had to go cheap. It is what it is, but now I'm doing it again. So this time I'm gonna do it the right way, get a high quality part put in there, and instead of dropping the subframe, I've seen a lot of people fish the power steering pump out from the back, going underneath, in between the exhaust and the drive line. So we're gonna give that a shot. So let's get to it. All right, so I ended up taking off the serpentine belt. That is a tensioner pulley that I have hooked up to my cheater bar. So on my first video, I'm just gonna link it in. I'll put it in a quick link in the video. It'll be at the top right corner, top left, bottom right, bottom left, something. Either way, it'll show you step by step on this. I'm just gonna show you how I'm gonna do it without dropping the subframe down. But right back there, you can see is our power steering. And I need to get that bolt taken off, and then there's one on the top side. Then I'll be able to hopefully slide it right out. And then, let's see, so you can see it right there. You got that elbow. If I can get it to focus. All right, so you can see that elbow that's on the power steering pump. I'm gonna have to take that nut off so I can slide that elbow out. And then I have been told we've got to take a heat shield off, and that little guy right there, that guy, we'll have to take that off. I know they're 10mm bolts, so I'll get that taken off, and then also get that 90 off. All right, guys, so that bolt that we're looking at, let's see if I can point to it with my finger. Not gonna, right. That bolt right there, that's closest to the pulley. That's gonna be a 15, and we're gonna have to take that one off, and then there's one on the back side. All right, so that's a 15 mil. I just kind of wanted to show you guys where that bolt was at. It's right next to the power steering pump pulley. So, gives you a better little reference. All right. So there's another pan that we got to take off. Let me climb underneath the car and show you. I don't know if I like this way. Well, first off, you got one pan. You can see I already took off from right there. And then there's a bolt that goes in right here. And then one right there. This goes up and over your drive line, and pretty much once you get that off, it's a tight fit under here, so this is why I don't really like it. There's that little 90. You can barely get to it, but now what they're saying is I need to take off another guard, and it is this guy right here. There's a 10mm bolt directly on top of your rack and pinion. Just, you see my finger right here, it's just off to the right side of it. There's a bolt right there. And then, I don't even know where that other bolt is. Oh, and then it's up on the other side. You're gonna have to fish your hand through your Cadillac converter and your driveline. So I'm trying it this way to see if it is going to be easier. And as of right now, just dropping the subframe, it's a lot quicker. There's only 4 bolts holding that subframe on. You could drop it 6 inches and slide the power steering out. But in real world, with no high lift or anything like that, it makes it difficult. All right, so doing it this way, you don't have much room. I mean, the average person has a bottle jack, floor jack, and a jack stand. They don't have a lift in their garage. And this way, this is the most you can get it up. So it just makes it that much more difficult. I mean, A1 Auto, they got a great video, and they're able to lift the car up all the way so they can stand underneath it. And yes, this way would be much easier, but as of right now, it's not. I'd rather just drop the 4 bolts, but I'm gonna continue to try this one way. Somebody said it's a lot easier. And as of right now, I could have had that subframe drop down, the power steering pump out, and probably the new one in. So I've been messing with this for at least 45 minutes trying to get my hands in there, and it's just too tight. So I'm gonna continue. All right, so a little update. I did get that 90 piece off. It's currently draining right now. And then as far as this little heat shield, I just moved it to the back and disconnected the O2 sensor. Those 2 bolts are a pain in the butt to get to. Give it a shot. I mean, I am, so. All right, now I just got one more fitting that's on the, just above that 90. That's part of the hydraulic system as well. So I'm gonna get that off and see if we can slide this power steering pump out. All right, so now we got our Pulley puller, and what we're gonna do is pull this old one out. So it's gonna be at 20. We're gonna hold this in place. And then find a socket to fit this. I'm gonna make life easier and use the impact. All right, so now we got this pulley off. What we can do is install it on the new one. All right, so now we got our new one here. place it down exactly how it came off the other one. And with this one, we're gonna have to force it down. So you got some threads. You wanna make sure you get it threaded all the way down, so you don't strip out the threads. And now we're just gonna have to tighten this one by hand. Okay, that's tight. So now I'm just going to zip off this bolt. Alright, so now we got our new pulley, which is all the way on. Alright, so we got some new O-rings. Make sure you replace the O-rings on it. That little 90 right here, that's where that O-ring is going to go around. And then there's another O-ring that goes on top of the other tube. So we're going to get those on and try and fish this in. Alright, so after all that, did get it on. And I tell you what, I didn't record most of it because I probably won't do that way again. Next time I will just drop the subframe, because climbing underneath the car, trying to get your arm wedged up in between the exhaust pipes, the cat's getting it fished up in here to get the top bolts, the hydraulic hoses and everything. It's just a nightmare. For me, it was a lot easier to drop the subframe, because then I had full access to the power steering pump, and I had access to the top hydraulic line right there. You got the 90, then the one above it. Just made it so much easier. So in a hurry and get this tire on, top it off, and hopefully she runs good, no leaks. All right, so with that new power steering pump on, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna flush the whole system. So what I did is I took the pressure side that goes into your reservoir, that's the suction side that comes out, and all I did was feed it down in, and now you can see that hose just dangling right there. I'm gonna set it in a container, and then what I'll do is I'm gonna pop the top off of the reservoir cap, and then I'm gonna have somebody else start the car, and I'm gonna continuously dump new fluid in here, because I don't want that pump to run dry, because it'll start foaming up and get a bunch of air bubbles in the system. So I'm gonna feed some new fluid in here, and I'm gonna have somebody else hold this hose in there, because it's gonna have pressure. And on top of that, for the power steering, it's a Deck 6 transmission fluid. I know it sounds weird, but I did a lot of research, and for this vehicle, Buick Enclave, it's the Deck 6 transmission fluid is what's supposed to go in the power steering. So I've been told that if you put power steering fluid in, it'll prematurely wear out the pump and the rack and pinion, so we're gonna swap the old power steering fluid out and put in that Deck 6. Alright, so it's all done now. So that's just my way of flushing out the power steering system, and it will get everything. So just make sure you got somebody that will start the car. Let me flip this around. Alright guys, so that's it for switching out this power steering pump. The one I ended up buying was a nightmare. Installed it and it was already shot, so I had to do this whole process again. and I did it the same way. The second round actually went pretty good. So those previous comments of me saying I'd rather just drop the subframe, after that first time, I knew exactly what I was doing. The second time actually went really quick. I had it in and out within about an hour, so not too bad. And also remember, with the power steering, I did do a lot of research on it, and it is Deck 6 transmission fluid for the power steering. So you can hear how it's running now. Really good. With doing that flush on the power steering system, I got out all the old fluid. So just make sure you have 2 other people with you, and that will actually help out with one person holding the tube inside the bucket or whatever you have. You filling the reservoir up. All I did was put a funnel in the reservoir and then filled the reservoir up all the way. Then I had my son start the car. He let it run for about 2 to 3 seconds and he would shut it off. And then I'd fill the reservoir back up again. I did that about 4 times, and we got good solid red color coming out of the tube that was into the bucket. So just make sure you got a couple people with you, and that way you flush the entire system. You have 100% fresh fluid. With this reservoir, when you take it out, you'll have that tube that's right here. Just ball up some cloth or something and just stuff it in the hole, and you don't have to worry about it coming out. But all right guys, good luck. Don't go cheap on your power steering pump. Once again, I thought I got a good power steering pump on this last round. Ended up being crap, so well, when I came home it ended up being a remanufactured and I didn't know it. So just buy brand new. You don't want to have to do this job more than twice. But thank you guys for watching. Appreciate it. Have a good one.